This guy was as cold and calculated as they come. Maybe we weren't going to get it solved.
It was like the epitome of innocence that had been preyed upon.
This is a case that has no evidence. We didn't have DNA. We didn't have fingerprints.
Step inside the court of law with the new true crime podcast, American Justice.
We realized we have 4 men who answered the same ad for a job on a farm.
My brother Ralph went to interview and he was never seen again.
A podcast that explores impactful crimes and reveals how our justice system works.
You have to consider that there are more possibilities than one.
And sometimes how it doesn't.
We have to find whoever this monster is.
Go in depth into chilling cases and their conclusions in this new true crime series.
You just have a pit in your stomach thinking, how many people are we going to find?
New episodes of American Justice are available every Wednesday, wherever you get your podcasts.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 373 of the True Crime All the Time Unsolved podcast. I'm Mike Ferguson, and with me, as always, is my partner in true crime, Mike Gibson. Gibby, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing okay. It's been a hectic week over here at the Ferguson household. My wife had a spill, got a concussion, so we've been taking good care of her. But
accidental spill or something?
Well,
foul play.
It's kind of funny that you mentioned that because I had to call 911 and she ran into a hutch.
Yeah.
And she got this huge bump on her head and, on her face. And I was worried about her, of course.
Yeah.
They got her to the hospital. My daughter and I followed. We got there. But I'll be honest with you. One of the first things that crossed my mind after, okay, I hope she's all right, is, are they going to think I did this? Because she was kind of in and out of it. She lost consciousness.
Yeah.
It was scary at one point. But I was thinking, I bet you they think maybe I had something to do with this. I guess that's just the true crime person in me.
Maybe somehow deep down you wanted to push her.
I think if it hasn't happened in 28 years of marriage, I don't think it's going to happen at this point.
Actually, I think if it was going to happen, it would be the other way around.
Yeah, her coming at me, probably. Let's go ahead and give our Patreon shout outs. We had Shaky 007.
Hey, Shaky.
Corey Titman.
What's up, Corey?
Gina Rivera jumped out at our highest level.
Well, thanks, Rivera.
Cassie Hale.
Oh, hey, Hale.
Reagan Budnick.
It's a strong name, Reagan.
Yeah, I like it. Jillian John Cox.
What's going on, Jillian?
Donna Bruner.
Hey, Donna.
Rick 1214.
Well, there's Rick.
Stephanie Persephone.
Hey, Stephanie.
Rebecca LeBeau.
I appreciate that, Rebecca.
And last but not least, Pet Peeb.
Well, thanks, Pet.
And if we go back into the vault, this week we selected Jennifer Winkler.
Hey, you like the Fonz?
May or may not be related to Henry.
Yeah. Hey, what he used to say? Hey.
Yeah, that's all he used to say. It was, hey.
Yeah. There was a guy that is helping at my house, trying to get everything wrapped up, that knows the main guy working on my house, and goes by his nickname's Bag.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, why do you guys call him Bag? Oh, it's a name he's always had because he looked like the friend of the Fonz, whose name was Bag. And I'm like, I watched Happy Days for a very long time. I don't ever remember somebody named Bag.
I don't either.
But I'm like,
somebody listening will remember it, but I don't.
That's a weird nickname.
Does not
Bag.
Does not ring a bell. Gibbs, right now we have an episode out on True Crime All the Time where we're talking about the 1981 murder of Sonia Herrick Stone. She was murdered inside her home in Carmel, California. And there were really kind of two suspects at the time. One of them was her husband, and the other was a neighbor. But it took over 4 decades for police to finally convict her killer.
persistent actions.
And the advancement in DNA. That helped a lot.
Absolutely.
All right, buddy. Are you ready to get into this episode of True Crime All the Time Unsolved?
Yes.
In February 2014, the body of 22-year-old Nadia Malik was found in the passenger seat of her vehicle, which had been parked on the streets of Philadelphia for days. After dozens of tests, investigators could not determine her cause of death. Her family believes that she was killed by her boyfriend, who was the last person to see her alive. So this is one of those cases, and we do quite a few of these, where it is unsolved, but there is a belief, in this case by the family, sometimes it's by the police, it's by the public, that there is a person who more than likely was involved. But they have not, at this point, been convicted of anything. Nadia Malik was described as a beautiful and shy person. She was the second youngest of 6 siblings. As a child, Nadia spent most of her time with her mother, but she was also close to her youngest sister. Nadia's sister Mona told A&E True Crime that Nadia was a straight A student and wanted to be a doctor.
Those were good days, man. Straight A student, aspiring to be a doctor. I remember those days.
Yeah, when you were 12.
Yes.
Because you were a doctor by the time you were 16. So
A damn good doctor, too. Doctor.
According to A&E, Nadia met her boyfriend, Bhupinder Singh, when she was 16 years old. Her father said they met in junior high, and Singh continued pursuing Nadia, even though he asked him not to. So obviously, Nadia's father was not a big fan of Bhupinder.
Did you ever have a girl you wanted to date's father tell you to not pursue?
No, I was very adept at navigating the waters of the parents, especially the moms. Moms seemed to really like me.
Yeah.
It wasn't an act. I was a likable person.
Yeah.
I'm making it sound like I was doing some kind of serial killer act. It wasn't that, but I never did anything to, I was pretty chivalrous. I was a good guy.
I had one father tell me, you are not allowed to see my daughter.
Mm-hmm. That does not shock me at all.
I was like, what? What's going on? You know, I've heard about how your brother, you know.
See, that's the problem.
What?
You had you had one older brother
One younger
and
brother.
one younger. So you had an older brother whose reputation preceded you. So anything that he did, naturally, you were probably going to do as well, whether you did or not.
Exactly.
The question is, did that scare you off?
Of course not.
I know. That's why, more often than not, that would just make you try even harder.
I guess I just won't be over here when you're home now.
Bhupinder was working as a waiter when he met Nadia. Nadia's parents wanted her to attend the University of Pennsylvania and pursue a career in medicine, but her grades started to slip after she met Bhupinder. So Penn, it's a good school, very good school.
Not as good as Ohio State, but yeah. Yep, it's good.
Now you're thinking of Penn State.
Oh,
this
yeah.
is the University of Pennsylvania.
Oh, that's a pretty good school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Penn State's not a good school either.
No, I know. I was just trying to, it was a joke, but you're right.
Yeah. I think you were thinking about Penn State.
I was, yeah.
But this is not uncommon, right? We hear about this quite a bit, whether it's a guy or a girl whose grades start to slip, but it's because I think in a lot of cases, the relationship becomes so consuming at that age.
Yeah.
It's all you want to do is either, back in the day, it was talk on the phone or, go see that person at their house or go to the movies or whatever it was. There was a lot of phone conversations. Today, I don't know what they do. Skype, smoke signals,
something.
Tinder, there's text. I don't
Tinder
know.
In high school.
There's a lot of things
God.
going on nowadays.
Do you remember back in the day, they had girls' school and boys' school, and then girl college and boy college? That was probably to make sure that they stayed focused on what they needed to do instead of what they wanted to do.
Yeah, your back in the day goes a little farther back than mine. I understand that those existed. Those were not in my world. I went to school with girls. So I don't know where you went, but Nadia worked as a pharmacy tech at a CVS in Upper Darby, Pennsylvania, and was enrolled at the University of the Sciences in Philadelphia. She became pregnant during her freshman year. She and Bhupender hid the pregnancy until she had the baby at age 18, according to the Philadelphia Inquirer. So, that's another thing that obviously could negatively affect your grades.
Oh, of course. Yeah. I mean, it changes everything.
You're dealing with a lot at that point. Nadia moved in with her boyfriend when she turned 19, even though her family pleaded with her to stay away from him. So again, they didn't like him. I don't know all of the reasons. It wasn't spelled out. Maybe he was a bad influence. It does take two to tango, but I'm sure they were not thrilled that she became pregnant at such an early age. I mean, it sounds like she had a lot of things that she wanted to do in her life. Not to say that you can't do them both, but it is harder.
It makes it more challenging.
It does.
But, when you tell somebody not to do something, sometimes that will work against you, especially if they're older children.
Yes.
You say, you're not allowed. Well, guess what? They're going to probably do what you just said you're not allowed to do.
Well, you're just making it forbidden fruit at that point.
Exactly.
It's like me joking with you. Did that, father scare you off? And you said no. It can go the other way too. It could be your child.
Exactly.
That you're telling not to see somebody. Well, you could just be making them want to see them even more.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to be careful sometimes.
Nadia and Bhupender lived in Marple Township, Pennsylvania. Their relationship lasted for 7 years, and they would have 3 children together. According to the Inquirer, Bhupender was possessive of Nadia. She stopped spending time with her friends, and her family rarely saw her. Nadia's brother, Khaled, told the paper she was a good kid until she met this guy. There was nothing out of the ordinary in her life until she met him. And, this concept of being possessive, not wanting your partner to spend time with friends, family. We've talked about it time and time again. You see it in so many different cases. It's never good.
No, it's not.
It's a bad sign.
It's controlling.
And it's usually a harbinger of something worse happening down the road. In an interview with the daily local newspaper, Khaled said his relationship with Nadia suffered because of Bhupender, whom he said had no job and a Percocet problem. Okay, maybe there were very valid reasons that her family was not a big fan of Bhupender.
Well, typically you want the person that's with your child to be working, right?
And not have a Percocet problem.
And not have a drug problem.
The couple suffered a devastating loss. On February 28, 2012, their 3-month-old daughter, Alina Singh, was found unresponsive inside a car parked near a restaurant in Springfield, Pennsylvania. Nadia was sitting in the car beside her. When medics arrived, the baby was pronounced dead later that day. Nadia continued working and studying at the University of the Sciences. Her goal was to be a pharmacist. She applied to Temple University, but never enrolled. So, there wasn't a lot of information about, how Alina died, but that would be absolutely devastating. Devastating to lose a child at any age.
Yeah.
But a 3-month-old.
It'd be hard to recover from.
Shortly before she died, Nadia was fired for excessive absences. Her brother said that this was nothing like her.
Well, she had 2 kids she had to care for. And, sometimes that takes priority.
It does, but it seems to me like her brother is hinting at something more than just that. Like she was acting so unlike herself.
Yeah. Maybe not a safe home life.
Maybe. You go back to her goal is to be a pharmacist. That's great, right? It's a great profession. It sounds like maybe she had gotten her grades back on track. she applies to Temple, but then doesn't enroll. Well, why not? You're kind of looking at all of these things and you're asking yourself, why? Why was she missing work so much? Why did she not follow through in enrolling at Temple? What's going on in her life? Her relationship with Bhupinder had always been troubled. Nadia's sister Mona described it as volatile. That's a word we hear quite a bit when it comes to, some of these relationships that we talk about. Volatile is not a good word when it's being used to describe a relationship.
No, not good at all.
I don't know when it's a great word, but I'm sure there's some good uses for it, but certainly not for relationships. Now, I know people who have relationships where there's quite a bit of drama, but sometimes the people are kind of drawn to that drama.
They like it.
They like it. They need the sparks to fly, and it kind of works for them. But it's not physical, right? They argue every now and then, time goes by and it's like, okay, another argument flares up. And, I don't know if I would describe it as volatile. And then there are other people who are so adverse to confrontation that they rarely have argument. And I would say, that's probably more along the lines of my wife and I. Now, we've also been married for 28 years.
Sure.
So pretty much everything that we would or have argued about has been ironed out.
Yeah.
By this point, we don't have a lot of arguments. We give each other a hard time about things, but
give each other some looks, and you know what the looks mean?
Yeah, most of it's just all in fun at this point.
Yeah.
Mona told A&E he wasn't nice to her, and I think she stayed with him because every time she looked to get out, he had gotten to her. However, in late December, Nadia left Bhupinder and returned to her parents' home. She was treated at the hospital for broken ribs, which were allegedly caused by Bhupinder. Although sources don't explicitly state this, it seems like Nadia went back at some point.
And that's not surprising.
It's not surprising at all because, we go through it time and time again. And there are so many different reasons for it. It's hard to break away. We know that now from some of these relationships, especially some of these extremely volatile relationships. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Been watching a lot of true crime shows lately. There's one on HBO Max now. I think it's probably an ID show, but it's called Evil Lives Here. And they really dive into some of these men and women who just treat their families terrible, their spouses, their kids, and some of it's rough, actually. But you hear some of these spouses give the reasons why they couldn't leave. And sometimes it's because they were explicitly told, if you leave, I'll kill the kids.
Yeah.
Well, okay, it's going to be a really hard decision to up and leave.
Yeah, you're not going to probably walk out that door, are you?
No, you're not going to endanger your kids' lives. Now, I'm not saying that's what happened here, but you can't say it didn't happen either. We don't know. They had been fighting in the weeks leading up to her death. Nadia was prescribed narcotic painkillers and later told her family she thought Bhupinder was trying to poison her by putting the pills in her food. She wanted to leave him and refused his proposals. And never good when you think the person you're living with is trying to poison you.
No, not good at all. I have my own questions coming here and eating dinner sometimes.
It's been 8 years. I think if it was going to happen, it would have happened by now.
The little tiny amounts add up over time.
Nadia last spoke to her brother Khaled in mid-January 2014. She told him she wanted to leave Bhupinder for good. He said to the Philadelphia Inquirer, I think after she finally tried to leave him, he finally freaked out and didn't know what to do. Nadia was last seen alive on February 9th, 2014 by Bhupinder Singh. And we can't say, because we don't know, that Bhupinder for sure had anything to do with what happened to Nadia. What I will say is that it's been said many times by people much smarter than you and I that the most dangerous time for these victims of domestic violence is the moment that they decide to leave.
Sure, yeah.
Because that's when, the spouse or the partner feels like the control is being taken away from them, right? Because they're all about control.
Absolutely.
I don't want you talking to your family. I don't want you talking to your friends. And, I'm making you feel horrible. I'm mistreating you. I'm physically abusing you. Now, if you leave, I can't do any of that. And you're taking my control away from me.
So now I have to either bend or I have to follow through on my threats that I've always made to you.
And that's why it becomes extremely dangerous. That same day, February 9th, a surveillance camera in Philadelphia captured a photo of Nadia driving their black Nissan Altima. She was captured at a traffic light in the 6400 block of Market Street in Upper Darby between 12 and 1 p.m. In their coverage of the case, A&E reports that Nadia was driving the car. However, the Philadelphia Inquirer specifically reports the couple had been traveling around the city and its suburbs in a black sedan. So there's a little bit of a discrepancy there, but that's not abnormal. As you and I research these cases, different outlets report things differently. Nadia called her brother Fuad and told him that Bhupinder wasn't letting her go. She said Bhupinder was forcing her to stay with him before the line went dead. Okay, that's a scary call to get.
Very scary call.
As a brother. You're obviously going to be extremely worried about your sister, but you're also going to be digesting those words. What does it mean? He's forcing me to stay. He's not letting me go. And then all of a sudden, the call abruptly ends. It's not, well, I'll get back to you. I'll let you know if it gets worse. Love you. Bye. It's click.
And then you got to think worst case scenario.
Either he found out she was talking to me and, hung up the phone or something. Nadia also called her friend Thomas Singh, no relation to Bhupinder, and told him the same thing. Mona Malik called her sister multiple times. On February 9th, Nadia answered once, but Mona couldn't really make out what she was saying. Mona told NBC Philadelphia that Nadia was with Bhupinder. While she was on the phone, she heard Nadia say, "Let me go," before she got cut off.
Sounds like some of these phone calls at least put them together on that day.
Yeah, I would say that. They're also, from my way of thinking, extremely troubling. We don't know the full context, but he's not letting me go. At one point, she said, "Let me go." It gives you the air of restraint, forcing someone to do something against their will.
Yeah.
And then you have multiple phone calls just being cut off abruptly. I don't think that's a good sign either. And when you talk to your family, how often do you mid-sentence just hang up the phone?
Yeah, never.
Never. That's not how people do it.
No.
Normally it takes too long to get off with your family. You keep saying, "Well, yeah, I'll call you tomorrow." And then they've got something else they want to talk about.
Right.
But I just know for me, if a call ended with my daughters that way, I'm going directly into Liam Neeson mode.
Absolutely.
And assuming something is wrong.
And you're going to go try to locate them.
On February 10th, Nadia's friend Thomas Singh reported her missing. Nadia's brother called Bhupinder's probation officer to report that he was holding Nadia against her will. So Bhupinder was on probation for a 2010 DUI case. This was his second DUI offense. He also had a record for assault, false imprisonment, and making terroristic threats, per CBS Philadelphia.
False imprisonment? I mean, so he's obviously done something like this before.
Because it does kind of sound like that's what was going on with Nadia. From February 9th to February 12th, Bhupinder called and texted Nadia's family and her friend Thomas, asking for money in exchange for contact with Nadia.
Okay. I'll let you talk to her if you give me some money.
It's almost like a ransom. And I'm telling you right now, I'm sure they were worried before, but you got to be extremely worried when you get that phone call.
Oh, yeah.
I'll only let you talk to Nadia in exchange for money. Okay, come over and get it at my front door, and we'll see what happens.
I'll be waiting for you.
In total, the family had 70 to 80 pages of transcribed text and voice messages from Singh. 70 to 80 pages.
That's a lot.
You know what they didn't have? Communication with Nadia.
Yeah.
Khaled Malik believes that texts sent from Nadia's phone on February 9th reveal what happened to her. Bhupinder messaged Thomas Singh and said he would let him talk to her if he wired $100. Thomas refused to do it. Bhupinder then sent an agitated text that said, okay, think whatever, bye. I promise you this now. You won't hear her. I'll effing make sure. Bye. You lost the chance. I mean, we've crossed the threshold here.
Right.
From strange, weird, concerning to this sounds criminal.
So this sounds like a serious threat that has to be brought up to police.
Yeah, absolutely. Another text said, look for us in the whole United States. I guarantee my life you won't find us. Obviously, Bhupinder has never met a Liam Neeson father.
Yeah.
Who will stop at nothing.
That's right. Seems pretty cocky.
It's the word that came to my mind was brazen.
Yeah.
You're going to send texts like this to the family, demanding money from them for you to let them talk to their daughter, their friend. You've either got a serious set of cojones on you, or you got something up there that's not firing correctly.
Yeah. Sounds like a very weak person.
The following are some of the texts that were sent to Colette. February 9th, 9:07 a.m. You have until 9:10 to send the money or I break the phone. Okay, that's 3 minutes. I'm assuming this was money sent by computer or something, because you're not getting to Western Union and sending money in 3 minutes.
Really give me a lot of time there.
February 9th, 9:55 a.m. When this phone dies, you won't hear her.
I thought he was going to break the phone at 9:10.
Well, obviously he did. February 10th, 10:26 a.m. You are going to regret this. She is alone without resources. So, let's just break these down. Okay, break the phone. That's whatever.
Right.
But when this phone dies, you won't hear her. I take that to be very ominous.
Yeah.
Then when you get into you're going to regret this, she's alone without resources. I take that to be extremely threatening. And I'm sure the family did too. They were out searching for Nadia. But while the family searched for her, Bhupinder left the state. Nadia's family didn't know that her car was abandoned on the streets of Philadelphia. The Nissan was first parked at 23rd and Market. The vehicle was ticketed around 11 a.m. on February 10th, 2014. There was no surveillance video, though, that could confirm when exactly the car was parked there. Bhupinder Singh was arrested on February 12th at his parents' home in Solon, Ohio. He had Nadia's cell phone with him, which is how the police found him. And again, this is not an 80-year-old guy who doesn't know how the new technology works. I hate to sound like an old fogey, but this is a young 20-something-year-old kid who has to know that he can be tracked via cell phone.
I just don't think he's that smart of a guy.
Yeah, I'm going to go with that as well, because a smart person wouldn't have done all of the things that he's done up to this point.
Exactly.
He tried to escape out the back door, but was apprehended. In addition to Nadia's phone, he had her driver's license, the only set of car keys, and a bus ticket, which is how he got out of Pennsylvania. And, the one thing that really jumps out at me is the only set of car keys. So if that car is left on the streets of Philadelphia and Nadia's body is found in that car,
he had to be the last person to drive that car.
It doesn't seem like that's much of a stretch, does it? Just 5 minutes before he was arrested, Singh texted Nadia's brother, Fuad Malik, per the daily local newspaper, send a plane ticket and I will drop her off in Philly. This guy wants a lot of things.
Yeah.
Money, plane tickets. And that makes no sense anyway. I'm going to send you a plane ticket and I'm going to have the police waiting on the tarmac.
Yeah.
For you when the plane lands. Bhupinder was charged with a parole violation for leaving the state. He told the police that when he last saw Nadia, they argued about their relationship. He claimed that during the argument, Nadia gave him a black eye and scratched his face. He left to travel to his parents' home. Now, is it just me, or is it really easy to be suspicious of everything that comes out of this guy's mouth?
Oh, yeah.
Now, we weren't there. We don't know. But if you're evaluating this statement, does it seem more likely that she went off on him and punched him in the eye and scratched him up, or that she did those things as she was defending herself during an altercation? And you can't say for sure, but you'd have to lean towards the latter. At least I would.
Yeah.
He admitted that he was the one who sent the messages to Nadia's friends and family while they searched for her. He claimed he didn't know where Nadia was.
Well, he should know where the car was since he has the keys on him.
That's what I was thinking. Bhupinder's brother, Gurjat, came to his defense. When speaking with the Philadelphia Inquirer, he said Bhupinder left because he didn't know what to do. He went blank and wanted to come see his mother and father. It was the only option he had left. I think you could take that comment a bunch of different ways.
Sure you could.
I mean, first of all, it's probably what Bhupinder told him, but also if you had done something really heinous, you could also go blank and decide that your only option is to go home. You need to go be with family.
Right.
So I don't know what you make of that. Gurjat Singh said their father filed a missing vehicle report with the Ceylon police on February 19th. He did it out of concern for Nadia, according to Singh.
But what's that going to do? To file a missing vehicle report in Ceylon, Ohio? The car is in Philadelphia.
Did you just say Philadelphia?
Philadelphia.
Or some version of it?
Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Philadelphia.
I think you added an extra A in there. No, but I get what you're saying. And maybe they could work with other agencies. I don't know. And it could be, right, that their father was concerned for Nadia. But all that is based on what Bhupinder is saying. That's all they know.
Yeah.
It also turned out that Bhupinder's father owned the missing Nissan Altima, but he allowed the couple to use it. A snowstorm hit the city while Nadia was missing. There was 11 inches of snowfall.
That's a lot.
On February 14, 2014, the Nissan Altima was towed a few blocks away to 30th and Market near the 30th Street train station. The car was ticketed 7 times between February 10th and February 18th. And I thought that was strange to tow a car from one place to another.
Where it would receive more
tickets. You would think if the car is being towed, it would be to the lot where you have to go then and pay to get it back.
Yeah.
But
during the towing process, you would think, well, let's check this vehicle out. This is not just hook up to it.
Well, but maybe that's where the snow comes in.
Well, that's true.
The snowfall, they're not going to go clear all the snow off the car, probably.
Yeah. Maybe it was blocking the clearing process and they had to just move it somewhere else to get it out of the way so they can make a clear path. And
that could be. It just seemed very strange.
Yeah.
Because they do make a lot of money off of the
tickets,
the recovery fee too.
Well, that's true.
But Nadia's body was found inside the vehicle on February 20th, 2014. The Marple Township Police asked the public to be on the lookout for the car. One woman said she called the police 7 times over a 2-day period, but no one came out. Okay, don't ask for help from the public if you're not going to respond to the help.
Yeah, 7 times. Hello, it's me again. I've called 6 times before. I have information that would be very helpful, you know, and they don't.
If you wire me $100, I'll give it to you.
Well, yeah.
And I get it. You know, police make mistakes. We all make mistakes, but this is a pretty big one. when you think about the fact that it could have led to her being discovered earlier, and would that have changed anything? We don't know, but maybe it would have. According to A&E, a man sitting in a bar near the train station recognized the car, which was parked about a block away. The police opened up the vehicle and found Nadia in the passenger seat. The officer who found Nadia told the Delaware County Daily Times that Nadia was on her side in the reclined seat. The lower portion of her body was in the well of the passenger seat, and the upper portion was on the seat. She was covered by clothing in a large bag that extended from the dashboard to the back of the passenger seat. So this was a scenario where even without the snowfall, before the snowfall, I don't think someone just quickly looking in would have seen a body.
Right.
Somebody went to a good deal of effort
To hide.
to hide her. It looked like the contents of this bag were emptied in the back seat. 6 prescription bottles belonging to Bhupinder Singh were found in the car. Additionally, a marriage certificate signed only by Singh was found inside the car. He had previously applied for a marriage license in July 2009, but the application was never returned. And that's very interesting to me because I think Nadia told one of her brothers something about rejecting his proposal.
Yeah.
So now you start to get into the thought that, he wanted her to marry him. She was rebuffing that he had already signed a marriage certificate, couldn't get her to sign it. Okay.
Didn't like that.
There were no visible signs of injury to Nadia's body. When questioned, Marple Township Police Chief Thomas Murray said Nadia's body was covered inside the car, which also had tinted windows. So you couldn't see her unless you were very close to the vehicle and actively looking. So, we talked about the tow truck driver. What we didn't talk about is all these officers who were issuing the tickets. They didn't see her either.
Well, this explains why.
Yes. I mean, it's not like it was just a body out in plain sight. The Philadelphia police took over the investigation. After Nadia was found, detectives conducted a forensic exam of the Nissan. Nadia's autopsy took place on February 21st, 2014. Police Chief Tom Murray told CBS Philadelphia that it was classified as a suspicious death until they had the results. And I don't know how you could do it any other way. It is not normal for someone to die in the passenger seat of a car covered with clothes and a large bag.
No.
That, by its very nature, seems very suspicious. Now, you can't call it a homicide. You can't call it natural causes. You don't know. You'd have to call it suspicious.
Definitely suspicious.
Bhupinder Singh was the prime suspect in the case, according to former Marple Township detective Barry Williams, who also starred on the hit show The Brady Bunch.
Oh, yeah. Good memory there.
Isn't that his name?
Barry Williams. I think so.
Yeah, I think that was his name, but I'm sure it's not the same person.
I highly doubt it.
Bhupinder was extradited to Pennsylvania on February 27, 2014. And I don't know, Gibbs, after all we've talked about, and I'm sure, a lot of this came to light pretty quickly in talking with the family and all of that, how he could not be considered the prime suspect. The car's keys are found in his possession. He has her driver's license. You would think he's the last person to have been with her.
Yeah.
He's essentially extorting family and friends for money just to talk to her. And then he's sending a bunch of threatening text messages. Okay. Yeah, you're suspect number one. Williams questioned Singh when he returned to Delaware County. He was willing to engage in what they called, Gibbs, idle chatter, and provided a brief timeline of his whereabouts, which was debunked by surveillance footage and phone records. When asked about Nadia, he stopped answering questions and asked for an attorney. So he wasn't going to give them anything. And what he did give them, they found out wasn't true anyway. But I think the important part is he was okay BSing with them for a little while. But as soon as they got into the area of Nadia, he was done. He was at least smart enough to know he shouldn't say anything at that point.
And I'm surprised he was that smart.
I am too, based on all the stuff he had done so far. In April 2014, Bhupinder Singh was sentenced to 4 to 23 months in jail for a probation violation. With credit for time served, he would spend 5 more weeks in jail before being released in May.
Well, if I'm cops, I'm thinking I've got to May to figure out what I can do with this guy.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. He violated his probation. But to your point, they at least know where he's going to be for a certain period of time. And you know, for that period of time, they're going to work hard to try to figure out what's going on, because after that, you don't know what's going to happen.
Exactly.
In March 2014, Nadia's brother, Khaled, told the Daily Local that he believes his sister was poisoned. He believes Nadia was already dead on February 9th, and Bhupinder asked for money so that he could get out of town. A receipt was found showing that he purchased food at Penn Station. He took 3 buses from Philadelphia to New York to D.C., and D.C. to Ohio. Khaled theorized that Bhupinder parked the car at 23rd and Market because it's close to the 30th Street station, meaning that he could escape quickly. The family thinks Nadia's body was locked in the vehicle because Bhupinder had the only set of keys with him.
I think I'm following their logic on this one.
Yeah, I mean, I could see exactly why they believe this is how it went down. I mean, to me, this set of car keys is huge. At some point, you're going to have to explain how you have the only set of car keys if you didn't murder and leave Nadia in the passenger seat of that car.
Yeah.
And lock it and cover her with clothes and a bag.
You have the car keys, you have her phone,
you have her ID,
and then you have all these bizarre text messages being sent over several days.
Khaled also said that if Nadia did inflict the black eye and scratches like Bhupinder claimed she did, it was because she was trying to fight him off. And that's what you and I kind of already talked about.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that makes the most sense. And her family knew her very well. I don't think this girl was a brawler.
No.
Who just started, going off on people.
I think she was defending herself.
Khaled speculated that Bhupinder used Nadia's fear over the investigation into the death of their infant daughter to keep her close to him. However, Bhupinder was aware the police were about to close the case without charges. And we haven't talked all that much about this death because there weren't a lot of specifics. But it is strange, right? That a 3-month-old dies in the car without something bad happening or some type of negligence. That's what you would usually think.
Right.
When Nadia last texted Khaled, she told him she was, quote, in a jam with the Springfield police who were investigating the death.
Well, if Bhupinder made her feel that way, then that's probably true.
Yeah. We don't know what that means. I'm not saying she had anything to do with the death of her daughter, but I think what is very possible is that a very controlling person could have used that situation to stoke fear into their partner who they knew wanted to leave them. If you leave, I'll tell them you killed Alina.
Yeah. I can't protect you, or I won't protect you if you leave me.
Not only will I not protect you, I'll throw you under the bus, possibly. Khaled also said he believed Nadia was romantically involved with Thomas Singh. Bhupinder and Thomas were longtime friends. Khaled said, I think that's another reason Bhupinder went overboard. So he's giving, obviously his opinions, his theories on not only who did it, which he obviously believes is Bhupinder, but some reasons why. Khaled said he was told that when the police searched the couple's apartment, the police found a pregnancy test. When Nadia's autopsy results were released, it was not reported that she was pregnant. Khaled also mentioned that the day after Nadia was found, their father received a call from Bhupinder's father who said, if he's guilty, then we hope he gets the death penalty.
Okay. That's a strange call to make.
Yeah, I thought it was a little bit as well. I mean, obviously, I don't believe that, Bhupinder's family had anything to do with any of this. I don't know what you make of it when a father says, if he's guilty, then we hope he gets the death penalty.
I guess maybe they're trying to show that they are in support of whoever did this gets the maximum penalty.
And if for some reason, if it happens to be our son, we're still in that same mindset.
Yeah.
Well, at the very least, it sounds like, they would not be making excuses for him if it was conclusively determined that he had something to do with it. On October 14, 2014, it was announced that the Philadelphia Medical Examiner's Office listed Nadia's cause and manner of death as undetermined. The office couldn't find any toxicological or anatomical cause for death. All the evidence was turned over to the DA's office to decide whether charges would be filed. Now, does it make it harder to charge someone when the manner of death is sitting as undetermined?
Yes.
You would think so.
Yeah.
According to Nadia Malik, the autopsy report showed that Nadia's ribs had not healed yet from the December incident, and she had a puncture wound on her right hand. Officials could not figure out what caused the wound. So it sounds to me like they just didn't have a lot to go on. There wasn't anything in her system that they found that would indicate, she'd been poisoned or something like that. No anatomical cause, her neck wasn't broken or, she wasn't shot or stabbed or anything like that. But Nadia's family also had questions about the death of her daughter. Back in July 2014, the Delaware County Medical Examiner's Office ruled the baby's cause of death as cachexia, which is a type of muscular atrophy, sometimes called wasting syndrome. I'll be honest with you, Gibbs, I have never heard of this.
Me neither.
Baby Alina's manner of death was listed as undetermined. According to the Philadelphia Inquirer, the medical examiner said the baby died under suspicious but inconclusive circumstances. So I get it. To me, it was suspicious.
Yeah.
Just the fact that the baby kind of died in the car. But just like with Nadia, it doesn't seem as if there was something really pointing or anything really pointing to what caused the death. The family wondered if there was a possible connection between the two deaths because Nadia also died in a car. I think at that point, you're looking at anything and everything.
Oh, I think so. You have to.
And if you have two suspicious deaths, I think if you're the family, it's pretty reasonable to try to figure out if there's some connection between them. The Philadelphia and Marple Township Police collaborated during the investigation into Nadia's death, but there was not enough evidence for charges. And really, the main issue, Gibbs, as we've kind of already talked about, was the inability to determine a cause of death. I mean, how do you charge somebody with a homicide when the coroner can't conclude that somebody died of a homicide?
But it's a problem because, a lot of times we talk about that it's hard for them to do anything if they don't have a body. In this case, they have a body, but the body's not telling them anything useful for a homicide investigation.
Well, and you can just imagine the defense that's going to be put up. How are you going to convict my client of murder when the county's own coroner is not saying it was a murder?
Right.
They're not saying that this person died of homicide.
At this point, all you can do is say his actions were really suspicious.
And they are. And I'm sure we'll talk about it more. There's no doubt about it. Detective Barry Williams said that the medical examiner ran dozens of tests trying to figure out what happened. The medical team even tested the theory that a nicotine overdose could be fatal, but there were no conclusive results. In 2016, Nadia's family filed a wrongful death suit against Bhupinder Singh, alleging he caused her death because he intentionally harmed her and left her dead or near dead in the vehicle. The suit also blamed Singh for the mysterious death of his daughter. Singh did not respond to the lawsuit and didn't even hire a lawyer. I guess if you're not going to respond, then no need to hire a lawyer.
Nope.
In July 2018, the Philadelphia Common Pleas Court judge issued a default judgment and ordered Singh to pay the family $10 million.
Which they'll never get because I'm pretty sure he doesn't have that type of money.
No, the family has little hope, right, of ever getting that money. But anything they do get, they have said will go to the children who live with Nadia's parents. But I do want to talk about, this strategy of not responding to the lawsuit, not hiring an attorney. Well, if you do not respond, that a default judgment is going to be ordered, right? You're going to lose from the mere fact that you didn't respond, you didn't show up.
Yeah.
Is that because he would rather a default judgment be entered than have to be deposed, have to answer questions on the stand that could possibly incriminate him legally or criminally rather than just civilly?
Absolutely. It's a good reason to avoid going into that.
It's the only reason I can think of. And again, is he smart? Is he not smart? People will have to judge that for themselves, what they think. But I did kind of have that in the back of my mind that there might have been a kind of a savvy ulterior motive there.
I think he had a smart attorney that told him, don't do it. We're not going to do anything with this.
Nadia Malik told the Inquirer, the only reason we did this was thinking he'd come and defend himself. We just wanted some explanation, some words out of him, but we didn't even get that. You could have a $100 million award. It doesn't mean anything. And he's absolutely correct. The award means nothing. I shouldn't say it means nothing. It doesn't mean, people think of $10 million or $100 million, but the family's going to see a pittance.
Yeah.
Compared to that. Bhupinder's father, Devinder Singh, was also named in the lawsuit. The suit alleged that he shared the blame for the events leading to Nadia's death, and it should have been foreseeable to him that harm would come to Nadia if he allowed his son to borrow the car. He allowed Bhupinder to use the car even though his license was suspended because of his DUI conviction. The family also blamed him for sheltering his son in Ohio. I get that, but I don't put as much blame on the father as maybe they're trying to. Yeah, if you know your son doesn't have a license, should you give him the car? No. What if he says Nadia is going to be driving it?
Right.
We don't know.
That's true.
And if your son comes to your home and says, hey, I need a place to crash, I'm assuming they didn't know that Nadia's body was sitting in the car. Now, They could have asked some questions about, hey, where's the car and things like that. But, sheltering him or harboring him, that might be a little too much.
Yeah, because he really wasn't a fugitive.
I don't know how much they knew, if anything. I'm assuming they didn't know. In the July 2018 decision, the judge did not rule on the merits of the contention that Bhupinder Singh intentionally harmed Nadia or the assertion that his father should have foreseen danger. The judge also rescinded Bhupinder's parental rights. So the rescission of the parental rights is big, but you don't have a judge coming out and saying, right, that Bhupinder intentionally harmed Nadia. It's just a default judgment.
Right.
He didn't weigh the merits of the case. He didn't rule on it like that. Again, maybe another reason, you know, you're never going to pay the money anyway.
Exactly. It's not going to happen.
It's not something I would have thought about off the top of my head, but you can see where in a certain situation, it's a really savvy move. Bhupender's whereabouts were unknown at the time. He didn't respond to subpoenas, and he had an active warrant for his arrest in Delaware County from April 2016, when he failed to report to his probation officer. His father also did not respond to subpoenas or hire an attorney. So they just said, hey, you can send anything you want. We ain't coming.
Yeah, not going to happen.
For 4 years, the family has been working with private investigator Kevin Ryan, who wants to have the case reopened. Through the PI, the family learned that a man matching Bhupender's description was a frequent user of a video chat program called Pal Talk, and sometimes discussed Nadia's death with other users in 2015 and 2016.
Okay.
One woman provided screenshots of a conversation she had with a man believed to be Singh. He asked her if she was talking to him to collect the reward money. He wrote that he was missing Nadia and that they broke up 2 months before her death, per the Philadelphia Inquirer. At one point, the family hired forensic pathologist Stephen Sina, who is of the opinion that Nadia's death was extremely suspicious and possibly a homicide, according to A&E. Well, I don't think you need to be a forensic pathologist to come to that conclusion. I think you and I both came to that
pretty quickly. It's very suspicious, possibly a homicide. And I would say most likely a homicide, even though it seems like it cannot be proven. An expert in California reached out and offered to review the case, but the cost was too much for the family. The Philadelphia Department of Public Health does not comment on cause and manner of death rulings, but spokesperson James Garrow told A&E in 2024, this case is currently closed, as no new information or evidence that would necessitate a reopening has been presented. And I think, that's frustrating, but it's what you see in these types of cases. You're not going to have an open case because you don't have a homicide to solve. You have an undetermined death. I also hate the fact that some expert out in California reached out and said, hey, I think I can help with this case, but it's going to cost you.
What, you think experts do all their stuff for free?
No, I understand that, but I just wondered how it was relayed to the family. I mean, if they said,
pretty sure exactly the way that you just said it. Hey, I think I can help you with this. Here is my fee.
Yeah.
I understand it seems kind of gauche.
Yeah.
When you're talking about looking into the death of someone, but it is someone's job.
That's true.
I guess.
Yeah.
And people don't always do stuff for free.
Sometimes wonder what happened to the pro bono days,
Well, there are attorneys who still do pro bono work.
Yeah.
I don't know if this expert does pro bono work. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. But I don't fault someone for wanting to get paid for
I get that.
What they do. But I understand where your frustration comes because you kind of want to think everybody just wants this thing to be solved and they're willing to do whatever they can to help. But, the detectives are getting paid. The PIs are getting paid.
Yeah.
People get paid for their time and expertise. So, but it'd be great if somebody would come forward and say, hey, I can help you. I won't charge you a thing. And a lot of times people do that.
Right.
Look at the guy from Equisearch.
Oh, yeah. He does.
Yeah, he's done amazing stuff.
A lot of free stuff.
But he's, he gets donations or helps get funded and things like that. People are sometimes amazing with their time and their expertise. But I get it. Not everybody's going to just come out and say, hey, I'll do all of this work for free and give up all my other work.
Yeah, there's definitely cost involved.
So where are we at, Gibbs? Decade later, Nadia's cause and manner of death are still undetermined. although the circumstances surrounding her death are extremely suspicious, no charges have ever been filed against Bhupinder Singh in this case. The Malik family is offering a $50,000 reward for information leading to an arrest in Nadia's death. You can view the Justice for Nadia Malik page on Facebook for further information and updates. So as we wrap this one up, I got to be honest with you, man, this one is pretty infuriating. You know, I can't come out and say that Bhupinder Singh killed Nadia Malik. We don't know that.
We don't know that.
There's no way to say that. But it's very frustrating to lay all of the facts out and not believe that he was involved in some way, form, fashion in what happened to her. But there are times, and this is one of those cases where the circumstances are such that at this point in time, they can't charge anyone. I'm sure there are investigators or have been investigators on this case that, if they were candid, would tell you, we know who did this. But a prosecutor couldn't convince a jury beyond a reasonable doubt. And like we talked about, imagine a defense attorney having a field day playing up to the jury that the cause of death is undetermined.
Oh, yeah.
But yet you're trying to charge my client with murder. Those two don't equate. They don't seem to go together.
It'd be extremely difficult to get that guilty plea.
Well, I think that alone could raise reasonable doubt in the mind of at least one juror, if not many. So I think that's pretty tough. Now, you might say that all the other stuff, although circumstantial, could outweigh it, but I don't know that it could.
This is one I think might get solved down the road, though.
I think it might too. You know, if at some point there's some new testing maybe that discovers something in her body that other tests didn't, that could be something. Maybe there's somebody that knows something that comes forward. I just, I go back to some of the things we talked about. The keys. How is the body of Nadia Malik left in the car and you're the one with the only set of keys? How do you explain that? Yeah. I think the problem is Bhupinder has never had to explain it.
No.
Because he's not been charged. He didn't show up for the civil trial, so he didn't answer any questions there. He has just said, you know what? I'm not going to answer anything.
Nope. And it's worked for him.
It has, because they haven't been able to charge him.
Yeah.
But how frustrating for the Malik family to believe in your heart that you know exactly who had a hand in your daughter's death.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's any doubt by, some of the things that they've told papers, her brothers and people like that they believe Bhupinder had something to do with it.
Right, right.
So that has to be extremely frustrating, knowing that he's out there wherever and we never get to see our daughter, sister again. No more holidays, no more family vacations.
Keep in mind, he gave up his rights to see his two other kids.
Well, he didn't give them up. They were taken away from him.
Well, he chose not to show up to
by
fight
the
for
courts.
him.
Yeah. Okay, I see what you're saying. Well, I think that was the price he was willing to pay in order to not have to answer questions.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't going to be able to give satisfactory answers to some of these really tough questions.
No.
Because I don't think there are answers that are going to make sense. So I said it's kind of infuriating. I think people are going to find it that way, but until something changes, until they can probably change the manner of death, I just don't know what else can be done. But that's it for our episode on the death of Nadia Malik. We got some voicemails, Gibbs. You want to check those out?
Let's hear them.
Hey, Mike and Gibby, this is Tanya. I am calling you guys from Iowa. Just wanted to reach out and let you guys know I love both your podcasts a lot. I am definitely true crime obsessed. I listen to you guys all day at work. I had to actually buy headphones because now I have office neighbors and they didn't like hearing my true crime stuff. But I love it. Keep up the good work. Keep them coming. I'm still fairly new to the podcast. I'm only on episode 21 on the Unsolved. And then I'm getting ready to start the episode called Death House Lane Lady on the True Crime All the Time. So I still have a lot to go. I don't know if you guys have already discussed the unsolved murder called the Villisca Axe Murders in Villisca, Iowa on your Unsolved podcast. But if you haven't, I think it's something you definitely should look into. It happened back on June 9th of 1912, so it's almost 111 years ago. 8 people were murdered. It's never been solved. The house is actually still standing to this day. You can take tours and actually stay the night in the house, which I have done both of those. But yeah, it's definitely worth checking out if you haven't already done so. Just hope you guys have a great day. Love your show. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks for the voicemail. And she did send me some pictures too from the tour. And we did cover that case. It's episode 239. So you could jump straight there, or it's going to be a while.
Take your time and get there.
Before you get there. But also, if your office mates don't like true crime, just stand up and give them that evil eye.
Yeah.
Just let them know that you're unpredictable.
That's right. Just tell me where and when. I'll be there.
Or Gibby will come down.
Hey, Mike and Gibby. This is Lori in Georgetown, Colorado. And I was calling about the Colt Haynes and Molly Miller show, The Unsolved. And first of all, I just want to say that Love County needs to change its name. That sounds like a horribly corrupt area. Anyway, but what I wanted to tell you guys is I'm 52. I know you're about the same age as me, although Gibby's maybe a little bit older. But the whole time I was listening to that show, I could not get the theme song from Dukes of Hazzard out of my head, the one by Waylon Jennings, just some good old boys. But anyway, love the show and just wanted to mention the Dukes of Hazzard and how it's still in my head. I listened to the podcast about a week and a half ago and I still have that song in my head. Thanks again for all you do. Love you. Bye.
Just some good old boys, never meaning no harm. Is that how it goes, Gibbs?
Yeah, that's how it was when me and Waylon wrote that.
Yeah, I know you were with him.
Bar back in the one day in St. Louis.
Yeah. I used to love the Dukes of Hazzard. I don't know. It was a dumb show, but Friday night, I think it was like Dukes of Hazzard, A-Team, I don't know, Fantasy Island.
Wasn't even Daisy you liked. You liked the old Grandpa. You liked, remember Grandpa?
Yeah, Jesse.
Jesse. That's who you liked.
Yeah.
You always thought Jesse was so cool.
Jesse was cool. No, there were some shows back in the day that I kind of miss. I don't watch regular TV that much anymore.
Yeah, but that was good. Yeah, you had the Duke of Hazzards, Fantasy Island. Remember that? Love Boat.
I don't even know if they were all on the same network.
Probably
I just
not.
kind of remember this
Jumping around.
Just shows that I watched, but A-Team, Dukes of Hazzard, they probably weren't even on at the same time.
What was the dog's name in Duke of Hazzard?
I don't know. It was like a basset hound or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, I can't remember.
I don't know. I don't think the dog was a huge part of the show, but
I just remember the dog. Man, I remember the
Cletus. Was there a Cletus?
Was that the deputy?
Yeah,
the sheriff and the deputy.
Buford Pusser. Sheriff Buford Pusser. Boss Hog. There was a lot.
How many times did you try to jump in your car that way, just through the window?
Never, dude. Never. I'm not that coordinated. Plus, I didn't want to jack up my car.
Well, that's true.
That's a stunt car. They got a bunch of them. All right. On that note, that's another episode of True Crime All the Time Unsolved. So for Mike
and Gibby,
stay safe and keep your own time ticking.
This summer, it's time to get your giggle on. Pluto TV's Summer of Cinema is going to make you LOL with hundreds of free movies all summer long. Get a good chuckle or a deep belly laugh streaming Good Burger, Anchorman, The Legend of Ron Burgundy, and Anchorman 2, The Legend Continues. From old school to Think Like a Man, this summer you can chortle, howl, or snort your way through your favorite comedies for free. Download the Pluto TV app now. It's every couch potato stream. Summer of Cinema on Pluto TV. Stream now, pay never.